Every NFL draft creates hope. Every year, franchises believe they've found the player who will change everything. Future Hall of Famers, franchise quarterbacks, generational talents. But sometimes, those can't miss prospects completely miss. Whether it was injuries, poor work ethic, bad decisions, or simply failing to adjust to the NFL, these players became cautionary tales instead of legends. Today, we're counting down the 10 biggest NFL draft busts of all time. I'm Nick O'Dwyer, here for the 10th inning. Let's begin with number 10, Akili Smith. The Bengals thought they'd found their franchise quarterback when they selected Akili Smith third overall in 1999. The problem? Smith only had one truly great season in college, and Cincinnati ignored those warning signs. Contract disputes delayed his development, and once he finally got on the field, the results were brutal. Over 4 seasons, he threw just 5 touchdown passes compared to 13 interceptions, completing under 47% of his passes. To make matters worse, the Bengals reportedly turned down an offer that included multiple first-round picks just to keep him. The reason Smith isn't lower is because while he was the number 3 pick, he was also the third quarterback taken in that draft, unlike number 9, who was also taken number 3 overall, Heath Shuler. Taken third overall in 1994, Heath Shuler was expected to become Washington's franchise quarterback. Instead, he quickly lost his starting job to 7th-round pick Gus Frerotte. In just 4 seasons, Shuler threw 15 touchdowns and 33 interceptions, completing less than half his passes. For a quarterback drafted to save a franchise, it couldn't have gone much worse, especially for the first quarterback taken in the draft, like Shuler. Now we move to number 8, and number 8 we have Andre Wadsworth. Andre Wadsworth had all the talent to become one of football's elite pass rushers. Arizona selected him third overall in 1998 after a dominant college career at Florida State. He flashed promise as a rookie, then his knees betrayed him. 3 surgeries later, his explosiveness disappeared, and after just 8 career sacks over 3 seasons, his NFL career was essentially over. Sometimes, injuries, not ability, create a bust, and he is not the only one on this list. Going to number 7, we go to a number 1 overall pick now, in Steve Emtman. Steve Emtman was the number 1 overall pick in 1992, a dominant defensive lineman who looked nearly impossible to block. Then came one injury, then another, then another. A torn ACL, a torn patellar tendon, then a ruptured disc in his neck. By the end of his playing career, he'd played only a fraction of what anyone expected. When you're drafted first overall, expectations are enormous, and injuries kept Emtman from ever reaching them. In 50 career games, he only had 8 career sacks. Now moving to number 6, we have one that's currently unfolding in Trey Lance. The 49ers traded 3 first-round picks to move up and draft Trey Lance third overall in 2021. He had incredible athleticism, but only one full season of college football at North Dakota State, an FCS school, made it really a weird decision that Lance was selected. An ankle injury ended his chance to establish himself as a starter entering his second season, and while he recovered, 7th-round rookie Brock Purdy took over and never gave the job back. San Francisco eventually traded Lance after only 4 starts. Few draft investments have produced so little. Lance is still currently in the league, but outside of his 5 touchdown passes in his rookie season, he has never had another. Going to number 5, we go to the first running back taken first overall since 1986 in Bo Jackson with Ki-Jana Carter. Ki-Jana Carter looked destined to become Cincinnati's next superstar. The Bengals made him the first overall pick in 1995, then disaster struck. He tore his ACL in his very first preseason game. He was never the same player again. Injuries followed him throughout his career, and he finished with just over 1,100 rushing yards for his career. More than almost anyone on this list, Carter represents one painful question. What could have been? But now we move to less of a what could have been and just a failed prospect. Tony Mandarich at number 4. Tony Mandarich wasn't just considered a great prospect. Many scouts called him the greatest offensive line prospect ever. That comes with a lot of expectations, and with that, the Packers selected him second overall in 1989. Here's the problem. The players drafted immediately after him were Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, and Deion Sanders, 3 Hall of Famers, with Troy Aikman going number 1. Now, you can't control who goes before or after you, but having 3 Hall of Famers did not help Mandarich's cause. Mandarich struggled early, battled steroid controversy, and never became the dominant force everyone expected. He eventually did somewhat rebuild his career with Indianapolis, but this came after a concussion nearly ended his career with the Packers, then failing to show up for training camp in summer did end his career with the Packers. So while again, he eventually did somewhat rebuild his career for the Packers, he remains one of the biggest missed opportunities in draft history. But that leads us into the top 3, and at number 3, we have Charles Rogers. Charles Rogers looked like the next superstar receiver. The Lions drafted him second overall in 2003, and his NFL career actually started well. Then came a broken collarbone. The following season, another broken collarbone. After that, substance abuse suspensions and off-field problems prevented him from ever regaining momentum. He finished his career with only 36 catches in 3 seasons. Detroit thought they had their next great receiver. Instead, they just got 15 career games. And that takes us to the top 2, and we all know who the top 2 is at this point. It's just a matter of what order are they in. Starting at number 2, we go to Ryan Leaf. Before the 1998 draft, NFL teams debated one question: Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf? Many scouts actually believe Leaf had the higher ceiling, but the Indianapolis Colts did not agree with that and went with Manning number 1. That led to the Chargers taking Leaf number 2 overall. This quickly became one of the worst quarterback decisions in league history. Leaf struggled with accuracy, struggled with leadership, and became infamous for clashes with teammates, coaches, and the media. In 4 seasons, he threw 36 interceptions to go with only 14 touchdowns. Now, Leaf did have his off-the-field issues too, outside of those things, including substance abuse. But meanwhile, in this time frame, Peyton Manning became one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. That comparison alone cements Ryan Leaf near the top of this list. The reason he's not number 1, though, is that Peyton Manning did go number 1. Were Leaf to have gone number 1, he'd be an easy number 1 choice. But he didn't. He went second, keeping him at number 2, and taking us to number 1, JaMarcus Russell. If Ryan Leaf represents failed potential, JaMarcus Russell represents wasted potential. The Raiders selected Russell first overall in 2007 because he possessed one of the strongest arms anyone had ever seen. He could throw the football 70 yards with ease. The talent was undeniable. The effort, on the other hand, wasn't. Stories about Russell refusing to study film became legendary. One famous report claimed coaches handed him blank game tapes just to see if he'd watch them. The next day, he allegedly told coaches he'd studied everything. Now, whether every story is perfectly accurate or not, one thing isn't debated. Russell never prepared like an NFL franchise quarterback should. His conditioning declined, his play declined even faster, and after only 3 seasons, he was out of football. His final numbers included only a 52% completion percentage, 18 touchdowns, and 23 interceptions. For someone with that much physical ability to accomplish so little, JaMarcus Russell remains the biggest NFL draft bust of all time. Every NFL draft creates drama. Some players become legends. Others become unforgettable cautionary tales like these players. While injuries explain some careers, poor preparation, bad decisions, and impossible expectations explain others. The next time your team drafts a quote, can't miss prospect, remember, history has shown that no prospect is ever truly guaranteed. If you enjoyed this countdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more football history, and let me know in the comments, who do you think is the biggest draft bust in NFL history, and who did I leave off this list that maybe I shouldn't have? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.